like, it would just literally relax me from head to toe. Hey guys, it's Bree. I'm back again with another video, and before I start, I just want to let you guys know, obviously I'm doing a nursing school update, but if you guys have any additional questions, leave your questions in the comment section below, and I will be doing a Q&A. I always get lots of questions in real life, and I would like to answer you guys' questions as well in my next Q&A. So yes, leave your questions down below in the comments. And then of course, if you like this video, like it and subscribe if you have not already, and we'll get into the video. So first things first, I'm at a 4-year university in Texas studying to get my BSN degree. And the classes I had to take was Women and Children's 1, Med-Surg 1, and Psych 1. All these classes were super interesting and super fun this semester. They were hard in lecture, but the clinicals were very exciting for me. One thing I want to touch on at first is, at my school you have to have a 75 test average in order to pass. So no matter what everything else scores, your clinical scores, your paperwork, whatever, that doesn't matter until you get the 75 test average. Then everything else is factored in. So the first couple tests for me for Med-Surg and Women and Children, as you guys already know if you've watched my video, I'll link it above and down below. But thank you guys once again for all the support. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are amazing. I love y'all. But things got better. At the beginning, it was very hard for me to catch on to what they were asking in the questions. I could narrow it down to like 2 answers, and then I always picked the wrong one. And sometimes I was just completely wrong. So I started asking people after that video. I was like, hey guys, what am I doing wrong? I told them all that I was doing. I was purchasing so many sources and reading the book so much and focusing on everything but her lecture and what she's actually saying to me. And that's where I messed up. I figured out that literally if you just listen to my teacher's lectures, and what worked for me was listening to it a bunch of times and then rewriting the material in my own words for my notes that I would study over and over again, obviously. And then also just the importance of taking breaks, the importance of not studying all the time. I studied all the way through spring break, and if I could go back now, I would have taken that as a break. It's supposed to be spring break. And I mean, studied a little bit, but it wouldn't have taken out my entire days pretty much to study. So that's something big that I learned. I've touched on this before, but the difference of the need to know and the good to know. So I used to be studying everything. Like I was like, okay, this is good to know, this is good to know, this is good to know, this is good to know. But I never focused and streamlined my studying to, okay, Brianna, what do I need to know? Like, what is the most important things about these? Because that's what the questions would ask. The questions would be like, what's the most important thing that you would do for a patient? Or what's the priority thing? Or what's the first action? You know, so that's what your question is always going to ask you. That's what they want to know. So streamlining your focus more on what's the most important thing about this. That's what I need to know mostly. And then, you know, studying the other stuff as well. It's good to know, but just making sure that I know that first, because I know that that's what they're going to ask me on the test. So yes. And of course, just really trusting God has worked out in my favor. He's really been making me believe in myself, making me more confident this semester, making me more strong, and just letting me see how powerful I am and how I can do this, and just not letting me doubt myself anymore. And it's really so beautiful for me to see, and I hope that you guys are kind of getting a glimpse of that as well. So yes, more about the clinicals in each class. So the biggest thing for us is that our clinicals, I think differently from most other schools, our clinicals are pretty individualized this semester. First semester we had big groups of 10 that we would go to the med-surg floor all together and work on the med-surg floor for clinicals. We had that again this semester. We had 5 days where we went to the med-surg floor and worked all together as a group of 10 on, separate patients, but we were all together at that time. But we also had 4 occasions. We went to the PACU, the OR, the ER twice, and the wound care clinic. And all 4 of those times, or really 5 because we went to the ER twice, we went by ourselves. We had our own individualized schedule, and we couldn't rely on anybody to be like, hey guys, a group me or whatever. It'd be like, hey guys, do we have clinicals today? It was up to you to figure that out on your own. Like, we literally had to write our own schedules out in our planner. And it was the same way for women and children's. Women and children's, we had to go to a family practice doctor, a OB-GYN clinic, a nurse's office, and a pediatric clinic. So, and you guys got to hear some of my story with the cyst removal. I'll link that above as well if you haven't seen that video. That was really cool. I did get some really great experiences out of these. But I know for me, as far as women and children goes, or as far as me being a nurse, I don't want to work in a clinic right off the bat. I like the pace of the hospital better. I like the skills that you get to do in the hospital compared to in the clinic. In the clinic, all I really saw the nurses do was take vitals and chart, and tell the patient that the doctor is going to be in to see them very soon. Literally, that's the nurse's job in the clinic, and I would like to use more of my skills to actually help somebody. In the hospital, it's mostly nurse-centered care, and I absolutely love that. So yes, we also had simulations. I've kind of touched on before as well. There's 4 roles: primary nurse, secondary nurse, family member, and observer. And then for our women and children simulations that we had before every test, they were more simple. So we just had the nurse role, which 2 people played the nurse role, and then like a family member or observer role, but they were kind of mixed in one. And those were the other 2 people. So those were, like I said, very simple. I liked those. I like being the nurse, of course, but I also like being the family member and kind of feeling like that pain that a family member feels, like they are helpless. They want to know what's going on with their family member. They want to know how you're going to help them, and it's a stressful time for them. And just being able to play that and actually kind of get to feel that through my acting was pretty cool. I know I talked about earlier that we went to the wound care clinic, the PACU, the OR, the ER. Everything was super helpful. I got to do my first IV stick this semester. Which actually went pretty well. I actually got it on the first time, so that was great. I've gotten to do so much more this semester, and I feel like we've gotten to be more independent, right? And the only place I didn't like out of all my clinical sites, I think, was the PACU. The PACU we probably could have done without, because we went to the OR, and through the OR you kind of go to the PACU and watch the patient a little bit afterwards anyway. But when I went to the PACU for 8 hours that day, we literally sat there and made beds and watched the nurses monitor the patients. So it wasn't that exciting or cool to me. Everything else we didn't really get to do a whole bunch either. Like wound care was just a lot of watching. A lot of places were a lot of observing, shadowing, but it was a good experience in those settings because it was something new that we hadn't seen before. The PACU, as I said, we already went to the OR and saw that they do, what they do. They monitor the patient, make sure nothing goes wrong, monitor all their vitals, that kind of thing. So, yes. And then Oh, for psych was really awesome too. We got to go to an outpatient clinic as well as like a living facility, and I think I realized that I do have a heart for psych patients, because it's crazy that their families, the ones that live at the living facilities, their families literally just drop them off and don't care about them anymore. Like, they literally just drop them off, and most of them are guardians of, like, the state is their guardian. And I think that is so crazy how you can just drop off a child. Like, most of them are teenagers that have a mental illness and not care about them anymore enough to even just come visit every once in a while, see how they're doing. A lot of them don't get visitors. They literally just live there, and it's a great facility. They get to work. They're very independent, but it's just sad that their family isn't involved in their lives, and that made me really sad during some of those visits. But other than that, I want to give you guys some of the biggest tips I learned this semester. This semester, like I said before, you want to give yourself a break. Make sure that you're giving yourself your time to collect your mental health. Don't do anything that's going to affect it negatively. Especially with extra things on your plate like working. Find a schedule that works for you. I only worked 1 day a week this semester because that's all I could handle. I couldn't do any more, and I couldn't do any less because I love my residents. And then even the final month, I told them that I could only work 2 shifts. So I only worked 2 shifts the final month, and that's what worked for me. So you just have to figure out what works for you. You might be one of the persons that need a little bit more time at work, because that is your stress relief. That is your time to, like, really just rest and do something different than study. So that might be it for you. But for me, I just needed to do 1 day a week. So find what works for you. Do not use too many different methods or resources to study, as I talked about before. Your primary source of reference should be your teacher, the person that's making your test, so that you can do well in the test and become a nurse. Find a study support group. This is super important. Study groups are super important, but support groups are even more important. And what I mean by that is just people that will support you. Like, for me, my church family, my actual family, my nursing school friends, a lot of them, we leaned on each other those last couple weeks where we were just really struggling and crying and tired. We really leaned on each other to just, like, stay strong in this. And you need physical bodies that you can just be like, okay, this is my person. Like, these are my people that I know I can come to with anything that's going on with me, and just talk to them about, because nursing school is hard and not everybody understands. So you need to find somebody that's going to be there for you no matter what. And like I said, just do something outside of nursing school for yourself to maintain your mental health. Some people work out. Some people, I got my essential oils. That was really helping me out. My little diffuser. That just relaxed me. Like, I would just sit in here and study sometimes and turn on my diffuser, and it would just, like, it would just literally relax me from head to toe when I was super stressed out. So, and then always, you guys, remember that God has a plan for your life. Your grades do not define who you are. God defines who you are. You are a child of God, and He doesn't want anything less than the best. He's not going to give you anything less than the best, and everything's going to work out in His timing. But it's going to be the best timing. So just rely on Him and trust in Him, and He won't let you down. God is able. So if you liked this video, once again, like it, subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Make sure you leave any extra questions that you have down below, and I'll be sure to answer them or answer them in my next video. So, peace.
You glow, girl. Don't act like you don't know, girl. Yeah. shining.